If you're having problems during a meet with the scoring not quite working the way it should, there are several places where that could be a problem. The first place you should look, if you're running into situations where swimmers in heat 2, heat 3, or any heat beyond that are scoring points, you want to make sure that it's only scoring the fastest heat. In order to do that, we would go to Setup, Entry Scoring Preferences, and make sure the box for Score Fastest Heat Only, regardless of overall place, is checked. This would also be the place where you would look to see if you had a situation where a team finished first, second, and third in an individual event and got the first, second, and third points. The league does not permit that to happen, and the computer is usually instructed to avoid that. But if you're having a situation where that's happening during the meet, this is where you would go to look. Notice maximum scores per team per event. Make sure that's checked correctly for individual, 2 for individual, 1 for relay. If that doesn't solve your problem, let's get back out of that screen. Let's go back up to events. Again, we've already told the computer to score the fastest heat only, regardless of what place the kid finished overall. If that happens, and you're noticing that the last heat every time is scoring, notice over here, all the way over under finals, about 2/3 of the way over this column, notice it should be fast to slow all the way down. That means that it's going to, we told the computer score the fastest heat only, regardless of overall place. Well, which one's the fast heat? In this case, we've told the computer we want it to be fast. The fast heat goes first. Okay, so again, that's heat 1, that's the scoring heat. If we notice that it said slow to fast instead of fast to slow, to fix that, let's close this window. Let's go back up to Setup, Options, and again, we're under the Global tab. Change all final rounds to fast, slow heat order. This selection right here, check that box. If you do that and click OK, it'll change that heat order from slow to fast to slow. In a regular high-tech database, the default setting is actually for a slow to fast heat order. Now the ASA template meet is set up for a fast to slow heat order. So you shouldn't have to change this if the template meet's been used. But if you notice that this is a problem during the meet, this is how you would solve that problem. Are you sure you want to make this change? The answer is yes. Procedure completed. Close that and close this window. The only other place where you may run into a scoring issue, if you notice that the score is just off the charts wrong, say teams are getting 20 points for winning a relay instead of the standard 7 points. Again, let's go back up to Setup. Let's go to Scoring Setup. Let's go to Standard. And that's going to tell you what points are being assigned for the meet. If you notice this is out of kilter, this is where you would change it. You would simply click on the box you needed to make an adjustment for, input the correct number, which in this case it was correct to start with, but again, if you need to change it, you click on it, change it, click OK, and the adjustment's been made. If you notice that, and you've had to go back in the middle of a meet, you've gone through several events, and you need to rescore the meet, let's go back out to the Run menu. And notice up here, there's a button for Rescore. If you've had to make any significant changes to the scoring setup of the meet, once you've done it, you want to go back to your Run menu and click on the Rescore button. Now in this case, I don't have any scored events, so it's going to say it can't be rescored. It's going to click and say, are you sure you want to do this? You would select OK, and it's going to go through and recalculate the score for every single event in the meet. So again, if you make any significant changes to the scoring of the meet in any of those setup criteria, make sure once you've done that, go back to the Run menu and click this Rescore selection up here at the top of the screen. Notice there's a Rescore selection down here in the middle. That usually only applies to one event. If you made a change like we've mentioned, you want this option up here at the top of the screen to make sure it picks up all of the events that were affected.